I'm not sure we're live. I don't have a face. I'm sure I have a voice, hopefully. Hello, I'm Evac, and today I am joined by Fellow. I've introduced him that early just because it rhymed, but what a man to introduce. Fellow, tell us a little bit about yourself for those who haven't seen you around before.
Well, I've only been here once, so it's nice to be back. Definitely like working here for ECS. So glad to meet you finally as well. You seem to be a veteran around here, so I guess you can kind of lead us into the two teams that we're going up for this evening, and then
Wow.
we'll get into the game pretty shortly because we don't have that much time to waste.
No, we don't. We've had a bit of a switch around. We've got Kangaroo Kenny on observation, so that's really quite exciting as well. And these teams are just as exciting. Norway on top, which is a big core of the old Bitfix gaming roster from back in the day in Contenders division, against Machine Soldiers Academy, who are relatively well renowned within the T4 sphere. I've not encountered them, but I certainly will do today, and we'll see if they get off to a good start, because they both qualified pretty strongly. They qualified in the spots next to each other, 8th and 9th, so they're here in this Contenders division game, and I think it's going to be really, really tight. I expect a lot of tactics, and especially on a map like this one. And what is that, fellow?
Well, looks to be Clubhouse, everyone's favorite. It's one of the most played maps in R6 competitive. So I think we're starting off the season just right. At least it's not Borgen. That's what I always like to say because, God, I hate that map. But Norway on top. They're going to be defending first, and then we have MSA or Machine Soldiers Academy on the attack, or MSC actually. I don't know why it's like that, but that's probably just on my end. But Maverick going to get banned first. We'll probably see a Thatcher ban followed up after that. So this is already looking to be a very defender-sided matchup on Clubhouse.
You imagine so, but during the qualifiers, we actually saw a bit of an attacker-favoured Clubhouse starting to come out ever so slightly, and towards the end of the last season as well. So I'm not sure. I mean, these are two relatively new teams into the fold, so maybe they've got some defensive strategies that can outdo some of these other teams who've been weaker on it. But I'm interested to see how that develops with all the new teams coming in. I mean, I made my list, if anyone remembers from the qualifiers, the list of teams that I'm excited to see was 10, and those are in particular teams I want to see, and these were two of them. So quite exciting to see these bans coming out. Maverick, of course, pretty much expected on this map, but ones that aren't expected, Cheesy will be quite sad. Our new caster Castle's gone alongside Capitao.
Yeah, I'm actually quite shocked that we're not seeing a Thatcher ban. So I guess I was wrong about what I said earlier. These are two completely random bans. Except for the Capitao, you see him every now and again. But Mira, that one's a little bit more common, so no slight tricks up anyone's sleeves. You're not going to see any random windows being propped up anywhere, but yeah, I'm actually quite caught off guard. I guess the castle ban is to help attack Master Bedroom and Gym a little bit easier, and then the Capitao, that one's obvious. He can deny bandit tricking, but ever since the new Thatcher changes, it's almost impossible to try and go for those bandit tricks. And now that Habana is on the board as well, Church and Arsenal, you can't impact trick the hatch anymore. My objection, or pardon, not objection, my prediction from earlier is honestly turned a whole 180 degrees. This actually might be a lot more attacker favored than I suspected.
It's going to be certainly tricky. Kimza switching to his favoured Valkyrie. If I remember this man well, very, very tactical. Norway on top there. Their old kind of trio that they've got, Kimza, Sunny, and Rain. And those three players, they are very, very smart. For those who remember the EBAC Awards first time around, not this season, way back when in EEG, the play of the season, I gave it to Norway on top on Clubhouse. That old lineup. It was Jen, the player, actually executing the plan, but according to Sunny, he was the man who came up with it. So I'm going to trust him and say that he is a big smarty pants. And we'll see, you know, with the Echo, with the amount of intel they've got, whether they can keep that smart play and convert that into wins.
From what it looks to be from the prep phase, we're not seeing a lot of extensions, just the main hatches being reinforced rather than going all the way up above and trying to waste a lot of time. So it's going to be a very anchor-sided round for the first one off. So it's going to come down to those C4s and those impact tricks on the hatch. But like I mentioned earlier, Habana basically going to deny all of those tricks from happening. So expect to see the dirt wall and kitchen hatch being opened up almost instantaneously, then a switch around happening in towards Moto as well. Like I said, I'm going to really hammer down that point. This might favor MSC. I don't want to give anything away too early, but with their lineup, they could really counteract this defensive hold quite well.
Well, with how set this map is, you know, it's pretty much an algorithm. It might suit these machine soldiers with their robotic play style. I'm yet to see if that is the case, so we're getting on into it. I mean, they're clearing this top floor. They're moving down. They're clearly droning themselves in nice and efficiently. They're not bimbling around too much. I imagine not soon after they will probably be going for that kitchen control. But right now, some pressure, some control taken of the east side as well. They've noticed that there's a very deep sit going on down in blue. You can see going off, starting to, this is going to be so hard to not make a pun out of his name for most of this game, sitting behind the generator.
Yeah, he might pop off. He'll probably get into the first gun engagement of this first round. Minute 15 being burned off the clock, and blue is still in the control of Norway at the very moment. But at the same time, vertical play beginning to happen in towards kitchen hallway with those breaching charges. Habana waltzing her way across through that doorway, possibly, or going to Moto first and foremost. So the hatches being opened up as well. Pretty standard stuff. You see this happen pretty much every single time on Clubhouse. I mean, like you mentioned, Ebac, it's an algorithm. So it's the same thing over and over again, the definition of insanity if you want to have it that. But in the last minute of this round, things could get hectic. We're still in a 5-on-5, and only now has everything begin to be opened up, so some sight lines being gained as well. Not the worst position, but they're going to have to start thinking about going in for that common execute.
You also have to clear utility. Getting the angles open is good. It means you can drop in. But if you drop in right towards a bunch of banshees, these smoke canisters, the yokai sitting in the corner, there is so much to deal with once they get in there. And you imagine with the Valkyrie, they're going to know exactly where this push is coming in from. Rain, sorry, I've already got that wrong, is going to be ready to try and hold off some of these players who are almost, I thought they were going to move through that smoke there and get aggressive, but they are slowed down and time is ticking on by. Less than a minute now for these attackers to execute, and they don't look in the greatest position. It's going to come down to how well they can execute here.
It's going to come down to pure mechanical skill, especially in these last 20 seconds. Dirt push being attempted. Rain able to deny it. Nice double kill to start things off. First 2 kills coming out on the board. Creeds will get a trade, but the damage already being done. But however, he'll find a double kill of his own. Dutch following up as well. Kidsum will get one, but Nikki trades things out. Plant now being confirmed. It's all up to Rain, stuck in the middle of Arsenal. He finds a third for himself, but can he get the fourth? Soft pings coming out, but he can't land the shots. Nikki wins the 1v1 engagement, and MSC will take your first round.
So close, back and forth like mad. Rain starting with that double. You think from this point, a 5 against 3, the attackers to deal with. It's so tough, but they fought their way back. A triple from the Zofia, and then all the way down to the 1 versus 1, and just missing out Rain. The 1 kill that you need to get that quad is the most important one, the last one, and he doesn't quite seal it. A great effort from both teams. I mean, they came through on that execute in the end. It was just that generator player, Creeds, on the Zofia, who just about won that out for his team.
Yeah, he opened things up. Norway really thought they had them on the bag. Guys, look, I denied the dirt push. Then from behind, Creeds just pops his head out, and he's like, no, we're not done yet. We got business to settle. Don't mind the stutter there. That was really awkward. But Norway almost had that, like you said, and it just didn't happen. And I think a big reason for that was because there was really no roam, no extension. So MSC had time to burn through. They were getting stuff done. They still had a minute to work with at the very end of things. And then, although there were no kills coming on out, in that last half a minute where it mattered the most, they won the most crucial gunfights. So props to them. And now we're going to see a completely different objective room. No CCTV and cache or return to church. We're going probably one of the most difficult sites to defend, which is going to be gym and bedroom, especially now since Castle and Mira are banned off the board. But still, we are in fact going to see an extension in towards cache room, so hopefully this wastes even more time than last round for MSE.
I feel like these bans are so specifically geared towards this site in particular, so the attacks of it are going to be very interesting alongside the defenses. NorwayOnTop bringing that frost as well. We've seen it today in EU League, anyone watching, people just walking, jumping on in into those mats like silly beans. They can do it at any level. This level is no exception, despite the high quality of ECS. NorwayOnTop. MSE, machine soldiers, it's going to take me a while, already opening angles to try and put pressure on construction, and it's going to be tough for those players on NorwayOnTop, over by Red, over by Cash, to get back across if they don't win these, well, if they do win the fights even.
Yeah, right now, the first minute is just about to be finished off, and the main wall, the platinum wall as most people call it, will get opened up, so we're going to slowly begin to see that push coming on out, trying to flush out players like going off, and also I believe it is Tron, or however you pronounce his name, on the Melusi as well inside of Cash, but this is a lot more slow-paced round from what we've seen so far for MSC, but it does make sense. They have to actually go through a couple more obstacles than normally expected, but that Selma charge should make quick work of that Cash wall, so it's only a matter of time. They just want to make sure everything is checked perfectly. Wide swing comes out by Fallen, but no gun engagement just yet. They just don't want to lose that man count early on into the round. Nikki as well taking some shots, but it's not that big of a concern. Minute 30 now on the clock. Yeah, they still have to worry about the player in Cash, but that's all I had to say now, so you can take it away, you back.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before, as you say, these attackers move on in, but it's a matter of time for these defenders to delay. That's what you want to do here. Even if you die in vain in this position, it's still pretty good if you can waste some time. And they've managed to trade a kill off. The Jaeger has died, Melusi, with a quick refrag. She's still alive in that position, but not for long. She's taken out as she picks up one more, so still traded all the way through. Great for those defenders, especially with the clock in mind. 1 minute left, and again, not Mouse Sports, Machine Soldiers Academy have only a little bit amount of time to move in.
And now they do reclaim the man advantage. They only have to worry about Kim and also Sunny, who's in the way back near main stairwell, holding down a deep angle across the ways into the A bomb site, but there's 40 seconds to play with. This is still very winnable for MSC. They just have to work their way inside the actual objective room, get that plant down, and then the tides will turn basically completely in their favor. Half a minute now, burning through a little bit more utility. You have to make sure everything's cleared up, but they don't check the deep angle for Sunny. He trades things out, now evening everything to a 2-on-2, but a 1v2 now is in factor as Dutch claims a third for himself. It's all up to Sunny's now in a 1v2, and he's not going to win another fight for himself. MSC take their second round, and this is looking fantastic for them so far. They've already gathered those very defaulted first 2-round wins in the 4-2 split. They might be hungry for another one, eBack.
Yeah, well, there's no reason to fault NorwayOnTop in particular. They are showing great resistance. They're delaying well. They're leaving it to these last-minute pushes. Of course, they didn't have that man advantage that they may have wanted, or the equal man count at the 3-all going into that execute. But when it comes to the executes, Machine Soldiers looking absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's in particular Dutch right now. He is refragging like mad. A teammate drops, he gets him right back, and then he tries to stick that plant. A triple for that round. We're seeing individual moments of magic across the team from Machine Soldiers Academy already this game. We're only 2 rounds in.
Yeah, it's a great start for Machine Soldiers, and I can't say the same for Norway. They're just, again, just not winning the gunfights when they need it most, and the lack of intel almost was a huge success for Norway because Sunny's was not spotted out. He got a great trade, but then he couldn't find another one, and he couldn't help his teammate that was in the middle of showers. So it was a lost cause. And now we're going to have Norway return to Church and Arsenal, and sadly, they're not really changing up their team composition, so the best thing I can see for them, maybe having someone go on that deep roam, trying to waste at least about a minute off the clock. That could make things much favorable for Norway, because even though in the last 30 seconds MSC won it, I don't know if they could have that same success when it comes down to 15 or 20 seconds.
You can't rely on the turtle. It's like trying to rely on Elder Brain for anything. They're just untrustworthy. They will let you down. You need to have this extension. You need these players, the Melusi, the Jaeger. Put your utility down. Off you go. Make a fuss. We can see the Jaeger already going off down in lounge, and he's taken a lot of damage, and he's moved all the way back down. So there's the end of that plan. Not really. They're going straight for that turtle again, I guess. Bit of a shame.
You hate to see it, and I mean, they tried. I'll give Jaeger the benefit of the doubt. I'll give credit where credit is due. He did try to find an opening gun engagement, but that's not really the same as just wasting time, because look at this. MNC, they're all the way up above, and they're not being contested. This is just free map control, and they're utilizing it perfectly. So already Creed's going to do the exact same thing he did a moment ago. Just get control of Secret Stairwell, stun it out, use some explosive blast to break down that barbed wire. It's only a matter of time before going off has to get into another gunfight, and he's not in tip-top shape to do that. He's one shot away from dying. This is already looking to be a little bit more of a devastating round for Norway, and we might in fact see a 3-0 for MSC. But then again, it is still a 5-on-5. Going off is not going to be the key factor of this round, but it could be a small start.
The turning point at the end of round 1 was that generator player falling, and then all the other kills coming out from the Zofia who had taken that area. And this time, you're still in a pretty weak position. He doesn't have the most direct support from behind. Thankfully, maybe this hatch can still be denied by Sunny. He's got those 2 impacts in hand, at least to slow them down a bit longer. But as we know, Machine Soldiers, you delay them well. I mean, great play from NorwayOnTop to do that, but they still got to hold them back when they come bashing in through those doorways, and they've struggled to do it so far.
Yeah, not the best start, but that's a massive frag. Sunny eliminates Hibana. The hatch can no longer be obstructed unless Nikki wants to come around. A refrag will come through, though. Dutch picks up a kill onto Kim, and Creeds is looking for one of his own. Sweeps around the corner, looking for Jaeger, but he doesn't check the devastating corner. Trod and going off will finish off Creeds. Jaeger may have found and by Trod through the kill hole will shut down Dutch. Now a 4-on-2 is going off, does get revived, but there are so many players that are weakened on the side of Norway. Trod with a 3K though. It doesn't matter where he's positioned. He'll find the frags regardless. Now it's a 1v3 all up to Nikki as he takes off the head of Trod Brethren, but he still has to find 2 more. Sunny's incredibly low on health, will lose the fight, but Rain not making the same mistake as before. He'll win the 1v1 against Nikki, and finally, NorwayOnTop will win their first defensive round.
Machine Soldiers just don't know when to give up. The round is over, man. Stop trying. It's crazy from Nikki. He's fighting in the 1 versus 3. And in the end, Rain is there. You can test these players, but they will not fall at least as often as we've seen in those earlier 2 rounds. They finally take a round, and it is deserved from NorwayOnTop. I'd argue that actually they did a worse delay game than they did the first time around, but nevertheless they won it in that crazy execute. The Jaeger just surviving there inside of Generator and then being revived, being killed. They didn't realize, the Ash, that the Melusi was still alive in that position, and that really cost them there because it went from the 2 versus 3 to the 1 versus 3. The round was pretty much done. So they seal that basement round, and they will be moving to a brand new site.
The fact that Sunny's killed Hibana as well, really, it was a great start. It may have gotten refragged, but it didn't matter. And like you mentioned as well, the Generator area was still in control of Norway for a long period of time, if not the entire round for the most part. It was just winning the gunfights that mattered most. That's really what it came down to, because it was around another minute on the clock that they had left, and that was really all they had to work with. And now, we're going to be heading into CCTV and Cash Room. A slight extension into construction, a little bit of gadgets being placed down there. The secondary deployable shield, a ton of ADSs, and also a Melusi. So they're going to try to deny that double push coming on out in from both bedroom and also the main platinum wall. They might just let MSC get that for free, but they want to make sure they still have control of construction. That way they have players in Cash sitting quite comfortably there throughout the round.
This resilience from Machine Soldiers is great so far. If they can keep this up for the rest of the game and for the rest of the season, they are going to be quite a competitor. I'm really excited to see more of these guys. I mean, NorwayOnTop, just to mention again, towards EBAC Awards, they did get that best play earlier in that season, but I also gave them the equal top award with the winners for the most entertaining team to watch. And again, I don't think that's changed with this core. They are always entertaining, win or lose. And right now, I'm thinking this Contenders division, like with these being some of the lower qualified teams in Contenders division, it's gonna be insane the level of quality we will see.
You can only imagine how the best of the best have been playing out. I was a little bit absent for the first season, so my mind isn't really the best for this kind of information, but I mean, hey, Contenders looking spot on, like you said, and great impact
I'll tell you
as
what
well.
to think. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think Nikki has no more Selmas left in his pocket. I think he tried going for the singular construction wall, and I think it failed miserably, so it's up to Tex now, or TX, with the Xyros charges, and the best he can do, probably get that logistics wall opened up, but that's really it. So a fantastic recovery round so far for NorwayOnTop. They could end up equalizing as long as they keep control of construction, and right now it's looking to be that. The only issue is that Kim is gonna have to win that gunfight up against Duck, who is sitting quite comfortably right outside that doorway. He might not know about the shield. It'll get soft ping, so he might be able to find some pre-fire shots, but not going to connect anything just yet. Still that 5-on-5, and again, we're down to the last minute eBack. This has just been pure frag fest on these last couple of minutes, and Creeds will start things off.
Well, there was too much pressure for Kimza to deal with. He backs all the way off to red, but he still falls in the end. So that whole bit of ground taken and the hard work done by the Wamai undone entirely. Norway on top now forfeiting that ground, and they forfeited, it seems, most of Cash as well. It's just the Melusi sitting there, sitting behind Island. And it's going to be very important. Her kills so far, Tronfern running that Melusi, have been so impactful in this game. If she loses this fight, it looks a very different round. And there's 40 seconds to hang on to this spot.
Tron still holding it down quite well, though. And we're down to half a minute, and no one can push him from Platinum Wall. Only a small slit has been opened up. It's going to be used for frags. Speaking of kills, nice 2K with the C4 by Rain. Trod will get traded out by TX, but the damage already being done. Sunny's gets a frag as well. It's just a 1v3, all up to Creed's, and he's stuck outside of the Platinum Wall. He has to push in from stock, and he has very little time to win this, and Rain picks him up. A lovely 3K to seal the deal, and Norway on top eventually equalize things 2-on-2, moving into round number 5.
Almost all of these rounds being decided by doubles, triples, almost quads throughout a lot of these rounds. It's mad, and they're not the same players every time. It's everybody across the board. I think by the end of this game, we're going to have a moment for everybody's highlight reel individually, and we move over to Gym and Bedroom for the reattempt. Now, this was mixed last time in terms of the defense of Norway on top. They did a good job of delaying towards Cash, but then just lost that extra man that they might have needed to stop that push coming in. And great individual play from Dutch yet again on the Thatcher, getting a triple for himself that round. If he can be stopped early, it might look a bit different. And that Castle Mira ban, again, I'm not sure how specific that is to counter maybe each other. We can see Norway banning out Mira quite generally, but that Castle really makes me think that's a specific Norway on top ban.
It would make sense. Also, Mira is very strong on this site in particular. It makes getting outside, or pardon, inside through the Jacuzzi wall nearly impossible to do that. So it's a great ban to be mixed with Castle. So this is for sure the worst site to be played specifically in this best of one. But you mentioned the 3Ks earlier. Just want to throw a fun little fact. We've seen a 3K every single round so far, and I hope that this round is the exact same, because my god, they've been beautiful to commentate over.
Oh, it's been very interesting so far. We sit at the 2-all, nothing to separate the teams, and there really isn't any mentally. I can't think of anything to separate these guys. They look very, very even. I'm interested to see, because of the lack of Castle, because of the lack of Mira, all these operators who can push back and put pressure maybe on some of these breaching players across, especially by Jacuzzi. It's going to be much easier for a lot of these players to get the breaches open, and we've seen no Kaid opted for at all, which is a little bit surprising, especially on the basement, as he is an option. Uh-oh, Creeds has seen a hole. No!
Oh,
He's seen the hole being made, but it's almost acting as bait, and Rain, the shark underneath, he just nips off his head. He bites his legs. I don't know, I haven't seen Jaws in ages, but it was a good one.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. I gotta give you that, man. The barricade just perfectly blocked him. You really couldn't see him, and that's a huge pick for Norway on top. So they're going to be on top for the Mankind, at least one player ahead, and they still have Cash and Red Stairwell control. So, so far, really weak so far for MSC. We're finally going to have Dutch work his way in through, and if history does, in fact, repeat itself, we might see this man go on an absolute hot streak, because he is aiming up to find himself a refrag, so to say. He wide swings out onto Tron, but he doesn't find a single bit of damage. Going off, though, will lose a bit of his HP and now be forced to retreat. Still keeping things a 5-on-4, favoring Norway, but finally Fallen picks up one onto going off at the exact same time, though Kin gets a C4 kill onto Dutch, the biggest player on the last time this site was in fact attacked, and still Norway on top is in a perfect position to defend Cash. Trod just has to worry about both Tex and Fallen pushing in from two separate directions.
Oh, he's in a poor situation here, going off again, just a little bit too weak on that Jaeger, dying just too soon, and he's leaving all this pressure on Tron. But so far this game, he seems a player you can rely on this Melusi. His position is known, and he knows where those attackers are. Certainly, you can see the one over by Red, and there seems little support from behind until now. They are just waiting for this play, and it's a good bit of delay from Tron. He's actually snuck round the server block, and he might get the better
no
of the
way.
Ashen. No, he falls to the ace, deals some damage, but the AK-12's damage versus the MP5, you got no chance.
3-on-3 now, down to the last half a minute. We've seen both teams just overcome the other in multiple occasions now. It's going to come down to players like either Rain or Nikki to really wrap things up. Speaking of Nikki, he'll get those Selmas finally activated off on the back wall of Jacuzzi. No one approaching from that direction, but it can be a great diversion from somebody on the side of Norway. But Kim does not seem to care. He'll find a headshot on the Tex, now making things a 3-on-2, but a 2-on-2 is now in the factor as Fallen picks up a trade on to Kim. Make it another one. Sunny goes down for the count. It's just up to Rain, but both players are incredibly low on HP. Rain with a nice 3K. Make it 5 rounds in a row where someone gets 3 kills at the exact same time, and another clutch will be had by the SMG Wilder player of Rain up above.
This game doesn't stop. It just keeps going
Let's
on
go!
and on. It's too much for me to handle. It's good we've only got one map today. We've only got one game going on because I'm gonna need to calm down after this one. But there is no time to rest. Off we head down to church yet again. This site, it's been back and forth, and especially in terms of those executes. The attackers, they've moved in, they've taken ground, they've got close, and then they've waited, and then they've struck, and it's been crazy. Just falling on the worst side of it, losing out last time, but you still fancy them. Even you fancy anyone. I mean, it's crazy, and we've got the Aruni this time being opted for the first time by NorwayOnTop instead of that Echo. And I think given what we've seen these earlier rounds, we've seen very little opportunity for any Yokais to be used at all because it's all been so chaotic. And with the Valkyrie, they've already got that intel, so it's a very smart pick. Sorry.
Yeah, no, big fan of it. And again, with the 3Ks, I want to just become really specific about them. Round number 1, Rain got a 3K. Round number 2, Dutch got a 3K. Round number 3, Tron got a 3K. Round number 4, Rain, another 3K. And round 5 gave him his third 3K. Man's going 10-2, and most of those kills have been from 3Ks. My God, he's popping off right now, and I don't think he's going to be letting off any steam whatsoever. And like you mentioned about this top floor site, we actually might see a little bit more of an extension, but actually no, I'm wrong. So the Aruni is just used to waste more time, and sadly there will not be an extension on the last round for Church and Arsenal.
No, I don't expect it from NorwayOnTop. We've seen already they like sitting deep, but it does mean they're going to have to rely on some of these late fights, and they've been tough to take so far. The Jaeger already going off. Probably better for him to stay alive and nice and safe over by Generator a bit more. If he can get an early pick, though, it will make a huge difference. If he manages to get it and not be traded out, most importantly, because they've been so good machine soldiers of getting that. Almost there on getting their name right this game.
Eventually. You know, I've probably made a couple hiccups here and there. You know, NA pronunciation really doesn't help me either, but that's okay. You know what? You can't be perfect. We're only human
soldiers.
Yeah. And they got big guns and they got big soldiers. That's all I'm saying, brother. But a first minute coming to an end now, and a wide swing comes out by Creed. He wins the fight, going off, caught completely off guard due to the drone spotting him out. That's a masterful pick. That's going to give Machine Soldiers a huge lead up, but they still have to worry about the Malusi player underneath right behind Generator now taking the spot of going off. And other than that, still pretty common sixth round for going here in the third time of Church and Arsenal.
He hasn't done the most fantastic delay. I think going off, just struggling a bit too much at the start of this game. If he had a bit more of a Rain-style play, or even just Tron with his gunfights, just winning a few more here and there, even if he's traded out, we might have seen an extra round or two in favor of NorwayOnTop at the moment. Just slightly below par compared to the rest of the players. I mean, you can't... It's tough to compare yourself to any of these guys right now because they're going insane. Kimza goes for an adventurous C4 over the top. It's either shot out or doesn't quite hit its target. Either way, the breach is now wide open thanks to those Selmas of the Ace, and they've taken a good bit of control over. And they're going for this church look by the looks of it, it seems.
Yeah, so Tron's going to have to now help out Kim because he can't watch two angles at the exact same time. a lot of a lot of people, I should say, inside MSC are really forcing Norway's hand, especially since they have the man advantage up by 2, as Dutch picks up 1 onto Kim and Fallen follows suit. Ryan will get a trade, but it doesn't really matter. He now is stuck in a 1v3, and we won't see a triple kill this time, folks. Round number 6 going the way of MSC, and we will in fact see a 3-3 split.
What a disappointment. He's a terrible player. He didn't get a triple. What is this? He only got a double.
He was 1 kill off, man. He could have kept the statistics clean. I would have been like, oh my god, that's his third one now. I mean, his 4th one, yeah.
Well, I can only make jokes like that because he's going so insane so far. And what a game it's been. It is still, even at the 2 versus 2, we go, where can it go? We don't know. And you know what? It's not really separated from that point. And we switch over to the defenses of Machine Soldiers. Gonna see what they maybe do. I mean, they've banned out that castle to make sure that they could do a bit better on their gym attacks. It's been mixed yet again. They obviously don't have that planned for their gym defenses, and that could potentially, with the ban as well from NorwayOnTop, be a weaker site for them in particular, which means they're going to be evading it for now. And NorwayOnTop, they're going to be attacking over on CCTV, and they have a pretty solid lineup to do so.
The main issue I have with Norway's lineup is that there's no Thatcher, and Mute's actually on the board. If Dutch just puts one of his jammers on that platinum wall, then it's going to be a little difficult for Norway to get it opened up. They can obviously go underneath, use that soft destruction of either Ash or Zofia, but if there's someone sitting underneath in towards Lounge, and they win that gunfight, then Norway's kind of out of luck. They can't really do much after that. They can obviously go across the ways from CCTV balcony, but there's probably ADSs covering it, so if they had the Thatcher, that wouldn't be a problem. But now Norway is going to have to waste a lot of time and utility in order to get that wall opened up and start themselves off with a strong attacking side, not just defensive side. So that's going to be a rough start, at least.
Well, both teams are already looking like contenders.
That's a good start, though.
It's just it's the bronze level peek from the window, and it's just a simple enough free kill for the Ash. Very disappointing from Creed. He's been quite a strong impact player, especially in those earlier rounds, and him being wiped off the board. Again, we're seeing Jaegers falling very, very quickly right now in this game, and that's a great advantage for these attackers, and it's capitalized upon. Tron gets a second.
Wow, already a beautiful start for Norway. Guess I'm going to have to go eat my own words. The only thing that can make this better is if they get that main wall opened up, but already MSC is going to have to ration themselves quite thoroughly because they're already down so many players. Grenade comes out. They will in fact go all the way towards CCTV balcony, but that's going to finally allow Sunnies to do his job with that hard destruction. The first minute now elapsing, and I really don't see how Norway could possibly lose this. They only have to worry about a couple of players. Fallen might line himself up for a nice kill, but he does not spot out the kill hole. Dutch picks up 1 player onto going off. I guess he won't be going off this round along with the first 7, but that's completely fine because Norway still has the man advantage moving into the last half of the round.
They're in a strong position, and in terms of the delay, there's not too much. With the Maestro dead, he can't use those evil eyes later on. The utility, though, that is in play, those black eye cameras, and especially the smoke canisters, still in play for NorwayOnTop to make sure you can't guarantee anything with any of these fights, especially where Machine Soldiers are concerned. They just win out these fights in the weird situations, and the players who have done it already are the ones still alive at the moment. And Fallen's going to get quite aggressive here towards the ace, doesn't quite connect the shot. He's going to try and delay this breach, but it's tricky when he's got to juggle all these angles.
Grenade gets tossed out, not going to connect. Still a 4-on-3, Norway having a slight advantage, but they're funneling themselves in towards construction room. This might be a devastating last-second decision that might work out perfectly for MSC. They have all their players stacked up. Fallen not checking CCTV window is going to cost him his own life, but Dutch will get a trade on Rain, making things a 3-on-2. Still 1 player advantage favoring Norway. That Toxic Babe, it'll slow down Norway a little while longer, but it doesn't matter. Their push is inevitable. It's just a matter if they can win these last 2 gunfights on the SAS operators of both Dutch and Nikki, who are still holding quite strong in this 2-on-3. Down at 15 seconds, moving in towards 10, and they haven't moved in the building yet. Shots come out by both players, but neither one of them landed. Tron and Kim win their 1v1s, and Norway gives themselves their 4th round on the second half, first round for the attack.
It's another triple! This time
Let's
it's
go!
the Ash for Norway. It's triple central right now. It's crazy. And they've taken that attacking round. As you said, midway through, it seems like it's Norway on tops. It's a tough call to make, given the opposition. But fantastic pre-fires, especially from Kimza there on the Hibana right at the end, swinging on that garage player. It frees up so many angles across the sites, and in they move. They take the final kill, and they take the advantage yet again. Norway on top, just with that ever so slight lead. Although, you know, you imagine they probably won't have it for long, given how this game has gone. CCTV will be reattempted. What can they do, Machine Soldiers, from this position? They brought the same lineup, unless there's a 6-pick. Nope, the same thing. What can they do with this lineup that's so different? I guess don't die to those early peaks.
Yeah, don't die to Ash, who's gonna outgun you from the spawn peak because she knows better. That's it. I don't know what they could really do. They're bringing the exact same lineup and the exact same site, so there's no element of surprise. Norway just has to do the exact same thing they did last round, and they'll do just fine. And that's pretty much it. The only thing I could really say for MSC, like you mentioned, don't get counter spawn peaked, and also don't play over aggressive. Play a little more passively, a little more conservatively, and you should do a little bit better. And hopefully in those last 30 seconds you have enough utility to work with, because think about it, Tex died way too early. He couldn't use his Evil Eyes whatsoever except just to be a glorified default cam, and that was definitely a huge issue, along the C4s being missed as well. Just better usage of your own utility and your own lives at hand as well.
It's strange. I've seen a lot of Maestros recently in ECS die so early. Slightly playing too aggressive often, and losing that utility is really quite unfortunate. At the same time, it does mean that you can have an Evil Eye inside a site. It's a camera that you can't destroy as easily. It's going to be really tough unless like maybe a sledge gets on in there, or it is breachable from an Ash round or something late on. It's going to be tough to deal with. So you've got a bit to your name, but at the end of it, you could just play Jaeger, bring a bulletproof cam, pretty much same thing. So rather unfortunate from TX. If he stays alive here, it will make a big difference. And another big difference maker is this wall getting opened up, putting pressure onto the server players.
About a minute coming to an end before that wall gets opened up, the exact same spiel for Norway, except they don't have two opening frags. They've actually lost a little bit of HP on their best player of Rain, so not going to be in tip-top shape, but that's okay. He's still got 75 hit points to work with, so it's not the end of the world unless Creed's picked him off, but that's not going to be the case. He'll fully rotate underneath to help his team from a different point of direction, and now Norway will be allowed to enter the building in through Jacuzzi Wall and then start getting that construction map control at the exact same time. So minute 30 on the clock. This is a much better round for MSC. They must have comms because they followed my advice pretty spot on. Up until now, that was going off. After so many rounds of doing absolutely nothing, he finds the entry and his first ever kill.
It is. It's his first kill of the game. It's been coming playing the Jaeger. You usually expect your Jaeger to at least get a few kills when you trade it out. But at the end, there we go. He had to wait till the Zofia to get it. And it's a good time to get it, because if they win out this round, which that will certainly help to do, they'll be at a 2-round advantage, which we haven't seen this game. Oh, we haven't seen since the earlier rounds where Machine Soldier went 2-0 up on their attack. So if this attacking favoured ECS kind of meta is going to play out here, it really does favour Norway on top, who again, doing really well in terms of efficiency. They've got all these angles open, especially this construction one now from Captain Kimza.
It's going to come down to gunfights again, and of course those toxic babes, and Nicky's already used one of them at the very least, so he's not going to perfectly stall things where they have to run directly through them. They'll still have 10 seconds to work with. That is Norway on top. Of course, Creed's trying to find the player outside. Rain will get a kill before that happens. Now a 5-on-3, the exact same position that we saw on round number 7. Those toxic babes trying to slow things down. TX picks up a massive frag on the Sunnies. That's carrier down, but Kim will pick it up almost immediately. Now a second kill for going off. Diffuser being planted. That keyboard in the background will be a very loud cue. Rain with a trade as well. Now a 4-on-1, all up to Creed's beautiful shot on the going off, but it might not matter because he has to pick up 3 more kills into this 8th round and get a defuse, and he'll do neither of those things. Tron from around the corner in construction will shut him down, denying the clutch, and that will give Norway another round win, 5-3.
So many parallels throughout this game, whether it's different people getting triples. This time, the most important parallel is the 2 rounds for the attack to start things off. And Machine Soldiers, they need to replicate their opposition. NorwayOnTop managed to bring 2 back straight afterwards. And this is their time to step up. They are changing site. They clearly are struggling with that top floor site. I've said they might struggle with gym as well. That could be a potential issue given the bans. So they're going to head down to Church and Arsenal, where they were so chaotic before. Will we see an extension that maybe plays into the sort of style that we didn't see from either team so far? You might imagine so. They are certainly bringing the Kaid, which is something that NorwayOnTop did not do.
Yeah. Because of the Kaid, now they can not immediately use an impact grenade. You could have Fallen, or you could have the Maestro player as well use his impact grenades to then deny the hatch. So it's a lot more utility that NorwayOnTop is going to have to go through. But to be honest, they have a lot of hard destruction. Because Hibana wasn't banned, it really might not matter. Because if you do the math right, there's just not enough utility to counteract the Xyros pellets. There's only 2 impact grenades, a set by TX because Fallen opts for the C4, which I don't blame him. And Dutch only has his 2 Electro Claws as well. So this still looks to be a pretty attacker-favorited round, and that could be devastating for MSE because then they'll have to look down that gun barrel of match point, and that's something you don't want to do when you're behind 3 rounds as is.
The difference will be the Jaeger, I think, in this round, because we saw the Jaeger and Melusi coming out. In terms of this lineup, the players you'd expect to maybe be on the move a bit more would be the Valkyrie and the Jaeger as well, repeated. But you don't want to repeat the form of going off. He did do some good delay play over by a generator in blue earlier on, but just dying a bit too much, had a bit of a rough time, required a revive on that second round, just about stayed alive. If the Jaeger's in and about, making a bit of a nuisance of himself, that is a weakness for Kimza on this Hibana. They can't delay him in terms of outright numbers, and delay in terms of he can get that hatch open if he's allowed the time and the space, the comfort to sit there and keep trying to do it. But if he's under lots of pressure, whether it's in terms of time or people around that area, he doesn't know what's going on, there's someone upstairs, you can't afford to just sit there and try and open this hatch.
And no Electro Claws being deployed. TX is going to just let the first 2 Xyros charges land. This is already not looking good. They might not be able to slow down, or stop, I should say, this hatch from being opened up. They can obviously slow it down. TX is doing that right now, but he's only got 1 more impact grenade to work with, and there's no Kaid to be found. Creeds, however, could help things out with that flank. He's very close to Tron, who's holding down a deep angle. He's very occupied. The only thing that can really stop him from getting eliminated is that sound cue. And oh my god, what a nice preset. Going off is going to have to go back to the bench for another 1.5 minutes. And now MSC has the man count advantage, but they have to get another kill in this position to really make sure that they bring things 5-4 rather than 6-3 match point. And right now, Creeds has no clue that Tron has gotten off of that second floor vertical play.
Kangaroo Kenny, best observer 2021. I was just about to say that Jaeger on the roam could be a serious issue. He flicks over to him. He flicks over to the Valkyrie to watch her go off the cam and get a lovely C4 kill. Great play from not just Machine Soldiers, but from Kenny. So great job, Kenny. Jumping in late notice. He's not generally an observer. And you know what? I haven't noticed any deficiencies observing-wise. So good stuff. You get a thumbs up from me.
Also get thumbs up by Jutch because he's able to use his Electro Claws to deny the Moto hatch from being opened up. And Creeds gets a big pat on the back as well because he finally makes things a 5-on-3. And now there's no time for Norway to really bring back that man advantage. They're just going to have to go guns blazing and hope for the best, because they have to pick up at least 2 kills before they equalize and make things a 3-on-3. And then they have to find 3 more kills on top of that. There's just no time to be able to do all of that fragging ability. And they're already rotating in towards Dur. Again, 20 seconds now on the clock. Creed's on the late rotate as well, but this could catch somebody off guard. He has the secondary pings to work with. Prefire comes out, not going to connect, but Creed's through the bar wall will get it regardless. He goes in for the second rotation, now stalling even more time. The funnel comes out, and it's denied perfectly. A flawless round for MSE. My god. It just looked hopeless for Norway, and they're not going to be guaranteed match point just yet.
creeds. That is the difference. We said it in the pre-round. The difference is going to be that Jaeger, what they do in terms of anything other than that untrustworthy turtle. They had those reliable players in the site, but they weren't even really needed. Fallen on the Valkyrie using that C4. He could have presence basically upstairs, annoying them from down underneath, and then the Jaeger all the way up top, not cleared out, not droned, the way that we saw machine soldiers doing themselves, clearing out that area, and he came to bite them in the bottom. I think a triple for the Jaeger, if not at least a double that round, and it was fantastically impactful. The one thing, though, that we're going to move on to is that big question mark hovering over the orange team today. It's Gym and Bedroom.
You were right, it was a 3K, since we keep bringing up that topic, because it only hasn't happened 2 rounds.
Two rounds of 10. Oh, 2 rounds of 9.
Only 2 out of 10. That's only 20%. That's incredible. I'm surprised how well a lot of these players have really been doing, making up for some of their lackluster players as well. I'm not going to say names, but now moving into Gym and Bedroom, not the best site to be had right now, but this is probably MSC's best choice, because they haven't done a good job on Church and Arsenal either time, or not. I'm thinking of CCTV, my mistake. They did amazing on Church and Arsenal in a flawless round as well, not losing a single soul. I meant to say the other objective room, so Gym and Bedroom does make the most sense, but because of both the Castle and Miraban, they're a little bit short on how exactly they want to play this. Yes, they can still extend in the Cash Room, and they're doing just that, but there's really no way of stopping Jacuzzi Wall from being opened up. So if Norway utilizes that, then they could have themselves back in match point. I know I mentioned that last time and I was wrong, but this time I think I might be onto something for once.
Yeah, well, the other argument of that castle ban is also to deny that Space Station Gaming style roam as well on that basement. Certainly didn't need it at all. They had the roaming player just sitting up there. He didn't need any special reinforcements or anything. Did the job, that Jaeger, and he's pulled himself to a really, really good kill count at the moment, ahead of his team by quite a long way. I think a bit more of a spread between kills on machine soldiers than it is on Norway. But Norway, they are still, despite the fact that it's relatively top heavy, it's reliably top heavy. So you can't really criticize it too much at the moment, as long as they keep it up for the rest of this match. And they've got this Vigil and Jaeger combo to deal with. We saw the Melusi and Jaeger combo opted for by Norway on their defenses. Can they deal with this slight alteration? They're not going to know the exact position of this Vigil, and if TX can step up gun-wise, which he hasn't so far, it'll be certainly strong for them here.
It just comes down to the kind of impact your kills have. Doesn't really matter. Kim will get a huge opening pick on a Fallen. There goes your Valkyrie player. No C4s to play with other than Dutch, and going off will pop off even more. God, he really must have been mad that I was smack-talking him early on. And Kim gets a second for himself as well. It's just up to Nikki and Dutch in a 5-on-2. They're in the middle of sight, other than Dutch, who's in the way back of logistics, and he's losing his fight against Rain, and going off gets him in the end. It's just up to Nikki in a 1v5. It'll be a comeback, flawless round. Going off gets a 3K. My God, he must hate my guts. And now Norway on top brings us to match point.
They do. It's a hall of mirrors, this game. I was talking about the parallels. And again, we go flawless, back to back, team to team. And there's very little to separate them. But most importantly here, we are slightly separated now with that one extra. And I think we might be having a rehost. And what a time to sit here and take all that in. Because that was insane. Going off. He really wasn't going off. He was waiting. He was biding his time all the way through this game. And finally, when his team need it, he steps up, gets another, what is it?
3K?
A triple!
3K? There we go. So now it's less than 20%. It only hasn't happened 2 times. And I mean, one of the rounds where it didn't happen, Rain did get a 2K.
Yeah.
So, but while we're waiting on the rehost, we are going to transition back to ourselves. You can see at least Ebac's lovely face. I wouldn't say the same for myself. But yeah, this has been a fantastic game so far for the best of one. I mean, action after action after action. I'm glad there's been plenty of play-by-play. It's been a blast so far.
If this is what we have to go by for this Contenders Division season, I don't think I want to do it. I'm scared. It's just madness, this game. 2 teams absolutely tip-top. It's not because one team's doing fantastic, the other team's struggling, and then maybe they have a bit of a swap, or they're both inconsistent throughout the game. It is 2 teams at the tippity-toppiest of their ability. battling back and forth like crazy. And I was speaking about the maybe top-sided balance on Norway on top, and how some of the lower players, they don't quite have that nice even spread of kills like we saw a bit more on the opposition's side. That suddenly changed pretty much with that single round or two there. The Zofia picking up even more, going off now, I think close to positive already, straight back.
Yeah, only behind by a couple, I think. I think he was 5-6, 4-6, give or take. But I think we're almost ready to get back in, so we might not do that much stalling. So, hey, that was a quick rehost. Well, not rehost, technically. It used to be a rehost back in the day, but thanks to pauses, it's not a problem anymore. But now things aren't looking too good for MSC. They're looking down the barrel of match point, like I mentioned last round, only now it's actually come to fruition, and they're going CCTV and cash room. They haven't really done a good job defending this bomb site. They haven't won it a single time, and they haven't really changed much about their lineup. There will be no Maestro. Instead, that'll be opted out for a Malusi, but that might really not matter because they're probably still going to be holding this site pretty much the exact same way they were beforehand, and neither time that they do that did it work out for them. So we might see Norway take this victory in 7-4.
It wasn't particularly close, either of those rounds, and that's when the Malusi is most useful. If it's a 1 versus 1, a 2 versus 2 type situation moving into the push, you can validate that. It seems right. You know, bringing the Banshee, it will slow them down. Be harder to swing and pre-fire on some of these players. Of course, we saw Kimza getting the best of, I think it was Dutch sitting inside of the garage last time to make that move happen in the 3 versus 2. That sort of thing will be a lot trickier with any Banshees, so that could potentially help, but it's not enough just to have the right operators. You've got to use them well, and those Banshees, they'll use themselves. They've got to be placed right, but the weapon in the hands of TX also has to be strong. We need all of this roster to be strong. We see Norway on top change it around. A lot of their players now all supporting each other in terms of kills, and machine soldiers not quite the same at the moment, and they need to make sure they are consistent here because they've got match point against them. It's now or never.
On a defender-sided map, they've only won a single round on the defensive lineup. They made it a 3-3 split, which was very impressive, but then after that, they've kind of lost all their forward momentum. They're backpedaling heavily.
Can I add, this season, for everybody watching, the difference with the overtime this season, and we don't have our draws. We're just doing the one map, and then in the overtime, it is scaled as to who wins. You get a point if you are lower, and you get 2 points if you win out in overtime. So you can deny your opponent some points and take some for yourself, and that is what Machine Soldiers will be competing for at the moment, because they have to take it all the way to overtime in order to get back into this one. And Creed's right now, he's sitting in a cheeky spot, and you've seen the drone go past. It hasn't seen him, and he's taken his first victim. It's Kimza.
And a huge kill as well. One of your main hard destructors off the board. It's all up to Sunny's now, but that's not a big deal. We're not going to church, so that hatch will not have to be obstructed. It was just a luxury kind of thing. And also, now Norway does not have the man advantage, but Rain coming in from behind. This pincer move could be effective, and it will be. Creed's now meeting the same fate that he dealt to Kim. This will even things up now 4-4, but Norway, they still have a lot of food to bite off their own plate before they can guarantee they win out this round, but that frag onto Tex might do the trick. No chance he can get revived just yet. We're technically now in a 4-on-3 favoring Norway. They just have to get inside the actual objective room, go for that plant, and then swarm the defenders of MSC and overpower them with their man advantage. Although it may seem small, one person can have a huge impact on any of these rounds, specifically this possible last one.
Oh, I was about to say, you can't rescue TX from this position. He's been taken out. Thankfully, Dutch was not in mid-revive animation, and he manages to survive. He's got C4 in his hands. We've got a good amount of delay. Here it is, the smoke canister coming out from the smoke sitting over by Red, and here comes the move from those attackers. C4s, Nitro's flying everywhere. What a kill! A double kill from the defense, and Philon gets a triple! Another triple this game, and suddenly a 2 versus 1 in favor of the defenders. They've pulled it around when they need it most, and Sunny can't stick the plant. He's out of time.
God.
So close, but again, it's not over.
Well, writing down my notes, 3K. There we go. Already pen to paper. All right. Thank you.
They finally did it.
Oh my God.
When they They've struggled so much on that site. Match point against them. That is the time in a weakened position to get another double C4. So many double C4s, mostly in the hands of Norway on top. But that is the time to emulate them. Oh.
My God. Wow.
And
when
now,
they needed it most, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and now, importantly, they're going down to the basement. The site that the only previous site that they'd won. So it's looking good for them to bring it back to overtime and deny Norway some points, certainly at the very least. I mean, Norway, they will guarantee the 1 with that match point, but they want more than that. They want to compete up at the top of this division.
Yeah, and they barely managed to crawl themselves up into Contenders, so they have to give themselves a name here. Both teams do, technically, because they're on the lower bracket for Contenders, so a lot is on the line, like you said. And MSC, they're pushing desperately for overtime, and Norway is on the exact opposite side. They're desperately leaning in towards just taking this victory on one of the most defender-favored objective rooms, especially with this lineup of both the Kaid and then the impact-wielding operator of Maestro, played by TX. So it's going to be a rough round, but no matter what happens, someone will decisively win it out and bring us to either overtime or end the game off right here and now.
What is the big difference in the lineup for Norway on top right now? I'm sure you're all eyeing it up. It's Sunny on that Thatcher. Big difference maker. It's going to be so much easier to get some of these hatches open despite the Kaid being brought. It's tough for him to really contest it. It's going to come down to those impacts yet again. And I think only 2 in the hands of TX. As Fallen, often you see a Valkyrie opt for impacts down on this site, but given the C4 play so far today, there's no real reason not to bring them.
Yeah, I mean, a kill is a kill, and the C4s have been a huge influence on most of these rounds. That double kill by Fallen on the last couple seconds of the previous round sealed that victory and a little glimmer of hope to bring things into overtime and deny Norway of a just 7-something victory. And right now, the hatch almost being opened up, the first half being finished off. Kim might be able to get this opened up quite effectively, but TX has a couple of impacts to work with. He'll slow it down for a little while, but he's only prolonging the inevitable. Still, though, if a C4 gets added into the mix, then maybe this could be huge for MSE, but only time will tell, as there's still a minute 45 on the clock for anything to happen, and everyone is still alive. But oh no, we're gonna see it again?
No,
we might not see it
surely.
again. Fallen might rip the C4 in a last-ditch
Surely
effort,
not.
but it didn't kill him, going off only on 10 health. He's still alive.
Oh, the panic. The panic. I was ready to see them make exactly the same mistake, but thankfully this time going off survives. He's taken a lot of damage in the meantime, and Rain deals a lot of his own. It's 100 damage. He takes out Creeds on the roam. That Jaeger who got the triple last time to annoy them from behind, he's taken out, which means they can focus on all these players tucked in the site, and they have a good amount of time with this advantage to do so.
Minute on the clock now. A very flushed out push. It looks to be more or less main stairwell and that kitchen hatch. There is a player coming from Secret, and that's currently going off. Or actually, no, my mistake. He's throwing concussive blasts in towards that part of the map, but it's Kim by himself in the bottom of Secret. He'll get gas canistered away for a quick second, but it doesn't really matter. He only took a minor bit of damage. He's still quite healthy, and Trod comes around the corner to help out his brethren. Now a 5-on-3. Norway has a huge advantage up against MSC. They could get control of either Church or Arsenal, and it might in fact be Arsenal. Sunny gets one up above. Tron follows up on the Fallen. It's just one player left of Nikki, and he's trapped in the middle of dirt. Everyone holding down the fort. Plant coming down. This could be all over for MSC. Overtime will not be had. We might see this 7-5 victory, but Nikki still wants to win this one out. He'll throw a Toxic Babe, trying to evade the player of Tron in the far back, denying him of that 3K, but he still has to find a couple other, but it doesn't matter. He'll pick up the 3K and win it for his team, Norway. It doesn't matter what kind of comeback we'll see from MSC, because they will not bring us to overtime. 7-5 will be the outcome of this first best of one.
What a game, what a match. Norway on top, certainly on top to start things, but not without fantastic contention from Machine Soldiers. If this indicates what you're going to see in the rest of the Contenders division this season, don't get me even started on what we're going to see in Majors. That's going to be absolutely crazy. And some crazy kills. I mean, another triple in the end. Was there a triple there?
It was.
In the last round.
again.
So how many was that? What's the count?
We played 12 rounds. Only 2 rounds had no 3K. Only 2. So that's insane. 10 to 12 differential. That's impressive. And like you said, for playoffs or for best of threes, where there's a couple more matches to be had, not just one, it'll be exciting. I'll tell you how it goes, E-Back. I'm casting one of them. I think it's on the 24th. Yeah, I have it written down in my little planner, so I'll tell you how that goes. But man, that was good. I'm glad I was here for that. That was honestly some of the best. That was some of the best Siege I've seen in quite a while, especially after a little bit of a break.
I mean, I've been so excited to see that old ex-Bitfix roster come back into play. I was worried because they didn't have their old player Jen, who was the TCSG king. You just couldn't kill him. Goyo Kaid, stay away. But he's still remained on that team, I think, at the moment. These guys, they move over to NorwayOnTop, and they look just as tireless, as indefatigable. They are so tough to beat. And Rain just kills raining down quite characteristically for him. Struggling with words. I mean, it's just fantastic from NorwayOnTop. And Machine Soldiers, what a first impression from them as well. Even though the scoreboard separated them, I still can't.
I would have loved to have seen a best of 3 for them. So hopefully they get a revenge match, because if we see a lot of maps that aren't just Clubhouse or Cafe, for example, what if we see Chalet? A lot of those rounds were won in the last 30 seconds, pure aggression and mechanical skill. That's what Chalet is all about. Not so much the strategy, but about the gun skill. It's probably the second most attacker-favorited map in the competitive pool. The only map that's above that is Coastline, and everybody knows that. Coastline is literally the attacker map. Everyone goes there for their aggression. So if we see some crazy maps like that, whether it be Chalet or Coastline, this will be a great way to start off the second season of ECS. But I think that's all we have for this evening, because only one best of 1 for today, and then we'll come back tomorrow with a little bit more content. But I've been Fellow, joined here by E-Back, and we hope you all have a great rest of your night and to enjoy more of us in the upcoming future.